year, our economy ground to a halt with 0.3% economic growth. How could so much money buy so little?
Stephen Harper and the Conservatives added over $150 billion to the national debt with nothing to show for it. We made the decision to invest in Canadians instead, put more money in the pockets of middle class. And what did we get? 1 million Canadians lifted out of poverty.
I'll make this question really, really short. That member talked about the urgency to ensure that us as parliamentarians can get to work for Canadians. So would he support the immediate reinstatement of committees so that this House can actually get to work doing things like studying C-2, studying the many issues that were cancelled because of that Prime Minister, that Liberal Prime Minister's unnecessary election? Would he support the immediate reinstatement of parliamentary committees so that we can, in fact, get to work?
Conservative Party needs to recognize a couple of things. Number one, inflation isn't something that's completely unique to Canada. Much like the pandemic, you are seeing inflation around the world. It is taking place for a number of different reasons, in which I won't necessarily go into detail today, but rather provide a government perspective on inflation. You know, we have provided a program through the cooperation of provinces of all political stripes through the child care program. Here we have a program, and one member says
on the minister's law before he pulls the comments down offline. The Globe and Mail called the minister's performance amateur hour on C-10. Open Media has said the Prime Minister...
Government will, no doubt, want to lay all these shortages at the feet of the global pandemic. But the chief economist at the Business Development Bank of Canada recently pointed out that even before the pandemic, employers had difficulties in recruiting. Without urgent attention to address this crisis, new and existing businesses won't have the ability to grow their reach, meet their orders, or even keep existing employees on their payroll. Shortages mean fewer employees or owners trapped working longer hours, which only adds to our ongoing mental health crisis. According to Statistics Canada's most recent survey of business conditions, more than 1 in 4 businesses expect their profitability to decline before year's end. If the government does not take action to get people back into the workforce, there won't be any good-paying jobs out there in the private sector for them to go back to. Madam Speaker, after almost 2 years of pandemic-related disruptions, rapidly rising inflation, serious supply chain issues, skyrocketing and automatically increasing taxes, costs and debt, international trade disputes where Canada continually ends up on the losing end, and a labour shortage preventing our economic recovery, not to mention trying to maintain mental health, small businesses, the backbone of our local communities, are on the brink of collapse.
I have to tell you, Madam Speaker, that March 13, 2020, I remember it as we left the House of Commons here, took a plane back home to Nova Scotia, and the Parliament would be shut down for 2 weeks. Madam Speaker, that 2 weeks was extended, as you all know, a lot further than that. But those 2 weeks, it was the beginning, if you want, of a crisis. A crisis as big as the Great Depression, if you want. We had challenges. It started off slowly, but quickly we realized that we were in a very, very difficult situation, and it would take a government that would work with all its members of Parliament to make sure that we were there to protect all Canadians.
To get back to work, for the committees to get to work, and to dig deeper into this, and to make sure that we're analyzing these targeted supports as we go through, to make sure that that money is not being wasted, that we're not overstimulating the economy unnecessarily in specific areas. We have a lot of work to do, Madam Speaker. I'm eager to get going on that work, and I think that Canadians deserve a real plan to make their lives more affordable. Canadians need a real plan to dramatically increase housing supply all across this country. Canadians need a real plan to responsibly reduce this government's inflation-causing spending. Canadian businesses need people to work. And they need us to get to work, Madam Speaker. So let's get to work at committees. Thank you.
Questions and comments? The Honourable for Kingston and the Islands.
Thank you very much. The intervention by my colleague across the way. He, referenced the fact that some of the programs that were implemented were not done, or I think his word was sloppily. But I also noticed that he talked about the fact that the government wasn't willing to listen to the opposition and was hostile, I think was the word that he used. Yet, if you look back, it was actually the Conservatives and I think the NDP, if I remember correctly, that really pushed the government to increase the amount of the wage subsidy originally.